Watch you folks, 965 here. Today's video is really an update and sort of where the channel's going to really. Not had as much time as I'd hoped this week to get a few things done that I'd hoped to do, and I'd planned to do a couple of videos this week, but I just haven't had the time. So we've got a lot of stuff coming through. There's a lot of stuff people have been asking for, and I've actually had to start making a list now, because I just can't keep on top of it all, what people want to see and what I'm being asked for. So that's what's going to happen. And yeah, pretty busy, but hope it's all getting on track again now. So a lot of requests, and all the messages I've been getting I've answered on the forum, on Facebook, on the YouTube and Twitter. That's all up to date. So if you sent me a message in the last 24 hours, they're all done and dusted. The sort of things I've been asked to do videos on, people want to see how I spin the mast collars for my telescopic antenna. We're talking about these little doodads here. This is a nylon material. This one was actually made from an old rolling pin, and that's all it is, just a little collar, and you've got the 3 bits there for the guy ropes. It comes from this sort of stuff. As I said, that one was an old rolling pin. This one is an old roller from a conveyor belt, and it's just a nylon material, but it's really nice to machine on the lathe. I've actually had to make up an insert to go in the ends because I can't fit that in the jaws on the chuck. So that's coming along. I am going to do the video on that for you, no problems at all. People want to see a basic drive-on mount. A few people want to make one, but they're a bit unsure. One guy's actually just gone and bought himself a welder so he can specifically do that job. And I'm going to do a basic drive-on mount, that's no problems at all. The one I did was overkill, there's no doubt about it. And yeah, so a basic one is what people want to see on its way. The collar for the main mast that I use for the Antron, that's also, I've had a lot of messages on it. You might remember it, you might not. I painted it whilst I was doing the paint on the drive-on mount, and this one was actually made from steel plate, and it was 5 rings, if you like, that I welded together and then made the edges smooth, excuse me, and put the rings on again, just welded on, simple MIG welding. And I probably mentioned it in the actual video, but a few people have said to me, oh, where do I get the rings from? Now, you can make the rings yourself, probably a bit of an effort. They actually are like this when they come. It actually had a ratchet load strap on it. It was all knackered and frayed, so I binned that. They're plastic coated, so you will need to take the plastic off before you try and weld them, obviously. And there's a number of ways you can do it. That's what they look like once they're stripped. Just a basic mild steel round stock is all they're made from. What I generally do, you can take the time and use a Stanley knife and peel the plastic off. Usually if I've got the fire going here in the workshop, I just chuck 3 in, it burns the plastic off. It doesn't take any time at all, but I wouldn't advise you do it in your nice fire in your front room, because it does create a lot of black toxic kind of smoke. So it's no problem in the workshop because it just goes straight up and out, but you don't want it blowing back into your house. So that's what it's made from. And a lot of people have asked, is there an easy way to make them? Do I need to cut 3 rings, 5 rings, 6 rings out of plate? No, you don't. If you get stock that is the right diameter for your pot, right diameter for your mast, you can just drill a hole in it and then weld your rings on. So a few people have asked if I can make another one of those, because it's been very popular. So can I make another one of those and show us how you do it without drilling the 5 rings? So yeah, I will do. That's no problem. We've got that coming along. You'll have to excuse me because I'm referring to my list here. A lot of interesting people wanting to know how to drill holes and tap threads. Now there's loads of stuff on YouTube about drilling and tapping threads. Whether people just haven't watched it or haven't looked for it, or whether they just like my style, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to do a video on that. Again, that's going to be workshop based. And people want to have another look at the plasma cutter and the mag drill, so that's going to be coming through as well. And also I've got a couple of people, I've probably got more than a couple of people on the channel who own Land Rover Defenders. or Discoveries, or even Range Rovers, come to think of it, and they would quite like to see me make a saddle for a drop tow pack that will take an antenna. Now, it's quite a simple thing to make as far as I'm concerned. It's basically a U shape that would just go onto the tow pack. You put your pin through, and then all you need is one of those, and that's the tilt over part for the other drive-on mount. Bolt that to your tow pack so it's on the back of the Land Rover, and then all you got to do is plonk that in, put your bolt through, stick your antenna in, raise your antenna up to the vertical position, and then secure it off the back of the Land Rover. So that's really all there is involved in that. But they're not sure about making of the saddle. You can buy the saddles for Dixon Bait tow packs, but yeah, I'm sure I've got some material here that I can knock one up for, give you an idea. As for kit reviews, I'm just going to read it off the list. Radio reviews: Midland 42 handheld, Uniden Bearcat 980 SSB. People want to see a bit more about those and what they do and the functions and that sort of thing. The Garmin E-Trex. You might remember if you saw my Wine-Vac video in Wales, I was using one of those. People want to see a bit more about that. And also the Kit Vision Rush, which was my bullet cam. I said I was going to do a review on it, and I just never got round to doing that. So I am going to do an overview on that. The nice weather's coming, and obviously when the wind drops I can do filming outdoors. I'd much rather do those kind of bits of kit outdoors rather than in the workshop, but if the weather turns and I can't do that outdoors, then I will do it for you in here. Raising the antenna. I've had a few people say they want to get into the hobby, they want to get a 10-metre pole, they're not sure how they're going to put it up in the field. Now, there's a few ways you can do it. You could raise it exactly the same way you would your alley mast. You can put the collar on and peg it in and raise it up one section at a time. So I'm going to do a video on the various ways that you can do that. You know, it's not a difficult thing to do. It's very lightweight. But again, for those people that aren't sure, I will do a video for you. And the outdoor cookery. That's been really popular. A lot of people asking me, can we see different recipes, different techniques, different cookers, different pots, different utensils, different ingredients, and so on. So yes, I will do some more cookery videos for you at some stage. Obviously it's more stuff to carry, but what I'll probably do is a separate video for that. I will just take a load of cookery stuff with me, a hexi stove, a gas stove, maybe do a wood fire if I can find somewhere to have a proper fire. Different pots and pans, the wok, the mess tins. I've actually been using the last few times. I've not actually shown it on the video, but I've got this. It's a little cook pot. As you can see, it's quite small. It's an MSR Seagull, also known as the Alpine Stowaway Pot. It's stainless steel, and it's got a nice handle here across the top that holds the lid down nice and securely. It's a flip catch. That then becomes the handle, then you've got your pot, and all I've got in there at the moment is a spork. So there you go. So I'm going to do some more cookery stuff. I'd like to get these in a bit more use because they're really, I do like these actually. I've got this one which is, I think it's 750 mils, and I've also got the big brother of it, which is this one, which is 1.6 litres this one. It's exactly the same setup, flip lid, locking handle, and you pop the lid out. I haven't used this one yet. Look at that, still mint inside. Mint? Apologies. It's yeah, nice little pots, and you'll be able to keep all your accoutrements in there. You can put a hexi stove in there, or a gas stove, and a small bottle of gas. So they're quite versatile. And as I say, they are stainless steel, so nice. So that's those. So that's coming through. There is going to be some more cookery videos coming through the pipeline. All sorts of things I've been asked to do. Reviews on boots, rucksacks, clothing, i.e. fleece, jumpers, whatever else, that sort of thing. Wet weather gear, cold weather gear. I've just been asked to do so many things, and I just haven't got the time, unfortunately. I'll try and do as many as I can, but I kind of not quite sure how many things you can say about a pair of boots or a jumper, or you know, and a lot of it's been done already. a lot of the reviews on the kit that is in constant use by a lot of us has already been done. So whilst I would love to do as many as I can, I would say Google it first and have a look on YouTube, because there's so many reviews on there already by some very competent people that use this kit all the time in harsh environments or not so harsh environments, and it might be well worth you having a look. But I am going to try and do as many as I possibly can for you as time goes on. But the sort of things we do, outdoor outdoor activities where we're using different types of kit, there is a lot of stuff on YouTube for bushcrafting and outdoors. I mean, the website is completely flooded with the stuff, so have a little look. If not, then no problem, I'll try and do a video on it as much as I can for you. So yeah, really today is a bit of an update more than anything else. And one of the things I've been, well, not pestered, I'm going to say the word pestered, but not pestered, people inquiring about is what's happened to part 2 of the drive-on mount. Well, rather than stick half a video out there, I've been waiting till I can actually do the stay, because what I want to do is put the antenna up on the mount, and then I want to have a stay that comes down from the top of the mast onto the bonnet mount of the Land Rover. So there's no need for any guy wires. It's pull the thing up, lock the pole into place, there's your setup. So it's self-contained, there's no big footprint with guy wires, which is what I wanted to try and avoid. And I just haven't got round to doing it. I've got the stuff, I've got the pole, I've got the... This is what we're going to use, kind of. I'm going to have to do a different one. But the idea is that sits on the top of the mount. If we come in, that sits on the top of the mount. I am looking at the screen now because I'm trying to see what I'm doing. And what will happen is basically, if you imagine that's the antenna pole in there, this is going to come out at roughly 45 degrees, and then that will run down at a diagonal from the pole to the bonnet mount on the Land Rover, where I shall have something like this one. These incidentally are fittings for handrails. So, you know, if you were to go up a staircase, you might have one of these at the top, one to carry the handrail along the flat bit and one to bring the handrail up. That's what these are for. So we'll have something like that on the Land Rover. That'll sit at 45 degrees, and then the support stay will come down, do up the screw, or even just put it in. It won't be a problem. Might have a quick click fix for that. And that's going to be it. So it's going to be a self-contained unit, which is why I haven't done part 2, because I haven't got around to finishing it off yet. But what I am going to do is show you the drive-on mount, because I've had a lot of people, where is it, what's happened to it, have you given up on it? No, I haven't. We'll show you it now. Come down here. Right, here it is, the drive-on mount. It's now all painted, and the paint finish isn't as nice as I'd hoped, purely because after I'd done it, and that probably shows you exactly what I'm talking about, all this here, after I did it, someone thought it would be a good idea to turn the hose pipe on, and of course the whole thing got sprayed, the paint was wet, it got covered in water, and it's dried in a rather horrible looking fashion. Still quite smooth in places, but there are some raised spots, and I will have to redo it. So I was a little bit annoyed about that. But it is done, it's all ready to go. A lot of people asked me about putting a handle on it, and I did. I was always going to. It's just a box section, and the way I've done it is I've tilted it up so that when it's down, it's away from the ground. So you don't have to try and get your hands in and try and pick it up, which would really get on your wick. It would get on my wick. The handle is tilted up, as you can probably see, so that I can just come in, put my hand underneath it, pick it up and take it away. So there we go. It is pretty functional. It is pretty heavy. It's about 12 kilos. It's never going to be a lightweight bit of kit, but there we go. There's the bit for the tilt over mechanism. Now, you might remember that I said I wasn't going to have proper bolts to bolt that down. I was going to plonk that on, yeah, I was going to drop in a couple of pegs or bolts and just let it hold it there, but it actually moved around a bit too much. So I went ahead and on the underside I've retrofitted some welded nuts underneath. They work like captive nuts. So now I've just got to come along and put those on, locate it into the bolt hole. I did have another one here just now, there it is. Put that one in as well. And what I did was I knocked up a quick tool. It was an old socket that I was kicking around here. I used to use it for pushing bushes in and out on the vise. Bit of round stock, knocked up a quick T-handle, again painted it black. And instead of having to bend down every 2 minutes, I can just drop that on the nut and then I can just wind it up and do the nuts up. So that can live with it, that can stay with the drive on, and it's all good. So it is there, it is done. I didn't give up on it, I have finished it, but as I say, I just haven't been able to get out and use it in anger really. So there we go. That's the paint that I used, Hammerite, direct to rust metal paint, satin black. It's a very runny paint, and I did find that you had to put on very thin coats on anything that wasn't horizontal, i.e. isn't flat, because it just runs like it's water. So yeah, thin coats, lots of them, and you will get a nice finish as long as no one turns the hose pipe on. Okay, so what else I've been asked about lately? I'm trying to do a bit of a questions and answers thing here really. If I get a question from a couple of people, I kind of use that as a gauge to say, well, they've asked about it, I'm sure a few more people want to know about it. One of the things lately, is probably because of my video on Weinbach, was this. What maps do I use? And where do you get them from? So you can see there, it's the Land Ranger series of Ordnance Survey maps. This one is of the Brecon Beacons, or Banal Brahiniog. Presume that's how you say it. The scale of the map is 1 to 50,000, which basically means that 2 centimetres on the map is the equivalent to a kilometre. And, or for old money, 1 1/4 inches to a mile. There we go. And they are really useful bits of kit, as you probably saw on the previous video. They're very comprehensive. You know, there's an awful lot of stuff on there, and it tells you everything you need to know. I'll just show you that bit there, look. If you can see that in the light. Penavan and Corndee. So, well worth having. They tell you what everything means, from woods to mixed woods, coniferous woods, whether it's an orchard. It tells you what roads there are, the byways, the footpaths, all sorts of stuff. If you're interested, I will do a more in-depth video on them. As I say, they're really good bits of kit. If you know where you're going, you've been there before, not too bad. If you haven't been there before, or you're a bit unsure, it's well worth having. And if you can use it in conjunction with a GPS, even better. I usually take a compass with me anyway. It's good to practice the skills, if nothing else. But where can you get them from? Well, most of the time these days everything gets done online. In the old days, I say the old days, when I was a youngster, when I was at college and that, they were always in places like W.H. Smith's. I don't even know if W.H. Smith still exists, to be truthful. It's been such a long time since I went to the high street. Everything now gets done online, and yeah, most newsagents used to keep them, but nowadays you'll probably find them on places like eBay for cheap money. Try and get the most up-to-date one you can, and they range from, well, I've seen them as cheap as £1 to the most expensive one I saw on eBay was £21.50, which was mental price. I can't understand it. But there we go. That's the OS maps. And yeah, generally we're kind of putting together, as I say, a list of what needs to be done, thinking ahead to future videos, future locations as well, and other kit that we've got coming. Now, I have got a kit video to do, and It's one that I think is going to be quite helpful to a lot of people, and it's going to help to reduce the pack weight considerably for the radio kit. It's a new style of battery, and the weight saving is phenomenal. So that's going to be the next video I do probably. I'm holding off until Wednesday, because Wednesday is when we run the FM Southern Net, and I'm usually in the chair for that, so I get a lot of mic time, which means it puts the battery to a good test. So I shall do that on the Wednesday, and then I shall do the kit review video for the particular battery that I'm using for that. But if it performs the way I hope it's going to perform, it's going to make a massive difference. So that's something else that's coming through the pipeline. Really, that's it. Just a bit of an update. Where the channel's going to go, well, I'm getting more requests for non-radio related stuff. Quite a few messages coming through where people are asking me to do videos on just other projects that isn't anything to do with radio or outdoors. Other projects I'm doing in the workshop, welding stuff, projects on the lathe, you know, other different bits and pieces. I probably have 15-20 messages now, all along the same lines of this. Can you show us other stuff you're doing in the workshop? We just want to see what you get up to. We know you do welding, we know you've got a lathe, we know you do woodwork, and so on and so on and so on. Can we see it? We really enjoy watching your videos, and we just want to see the other things you do. Now, it's not a problem to do that. I've got no problems at all showing you other stuff. What I don't want to do is alienate my current subscribers. What I mean by that is the majority of people that are already on the channel are here, I presume, for my portable radio related stuff. And I don't want to go and throw a load of stuff out there that's got nothing to do with that and lose a load of subscribers. So what I'm going to do, you might or might not have noticed, on the bottom of my channel I've put in another section, which is, I think it's welding, stroke fabrication and other projects. So what I'm going to do is put all the other stuff down there. It's going to come up in the recently uploaded section, but I mean, if you're not interested in it, then, you know, don't watch it. It's not a problem. And I want to try and intermix, so it's going to be predominantly still a radio related channel. Don't get worried about it. I'm not suddenly just going to go, right, never mind the radio, let's just stay in the workshop the whole time. Turning, welding, plasma cutting, metalworking, there's thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube about that by people that are far more competent than myself. As I said on my other videos, I can weld, I'm not a welder. That's how I describe it. Likewise, I can use a lathe, but I'm not a machinist, if you get what I mean. So if you're into fabrication and you're into welding and you're into all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube already. So I'm going to mix it up between radio, outdoors and workshop, and then throw in the odd stuff, throw in the odd video that is not related to any of it. So yeah, I'm going to do that for you, and yeah, we'll see what we can do in terms of content. But excuse me, that's really about it for today. It was just a sort of an overview, a quick sort of questions and answers type deal. Oh, I've got a bit of wind there. Oh, one thing I didn't forget to mention is people asked me about the welding table and what tooling have I gone ahead and made. You probably remember in the Drive On Mount Part 1 that I showed you these, which were the little inserts to keep work steady. Since then, I've made some of these. Okay, basically they start off life like an F-clamp, a regular F-clamp like that. Okay, I whacked the top of these off. They're only cheap, they're not expensive. These ones came from Lidl, got a load of them, and you know, it doesn't matter if you knock the top off and use it for another project, you haven't paid £15 for a clamp. So that's how they start off. I know you've all seen those before. I knocked the top piece off, so you then end up with sort of half a clamp, if you like that. Okay. Then what I did was I turned some round stock on the lathe to make the base, like that. And they're simply just a little bit of MIG weld, a little bit of MIG weld. The ideal welder for this really is a TIG welder, but I haven't got a TIG welder. So that's made the clamp portion of it, and then in the bottom, I've probably done that up really tight. I have. Let me just hoik that out of there a minute. There we go. In the bottom of the steel stock, I drilled a hole and tapped a thread. Now, I could have turned it out of one piece, but I didn't. And I'm sure there was something in the back of my mind at the time, but I can't remember what it was. And then all I got to do is screw them in the bottom of there, and that then becomes the clamp. That bit gets inserted into the table and sits there, and it clamps down the piece of work, no problems at all. So there are going to be some other bits of kit coming through, some other tooling for the table, which I'm planning to make, but again, it's finding the time. And yeah, that's really about it today, guys. Sorry there hasn't been a proper video on something this week. I want to try and do one a week where possible. That's really my goal, one a week, if not more. But I don't want to just turn out loads and loads and loads of videos that really is just pointless, to be honest. I want to try and do the best ones that I can. I want to try and make them informative, and I want to try and make them I want to try and do videos that people want to see. So watch this space. There is going to be more stuff coming. It's now 4:45, so I've now got to go and put the dinner on. So there's all sorts of things. There's always something to do in my life. So I'm going to go and put the dinner on, and we'll catch you back as soon as possible. Bye for now.